Hello, and welcome to HR Book Club 2023. The first book on our list is Crucial Conversations Tools for Talking When Stakes Are High by Joseph Grenny, Kerry Patterson, Ron McMillan, Al Switzler, and Emily Gregory. There's a host of people on the book cover as the authors because this book is all about research that a group did together. This book goes way back and it has been updated. These ideas about how to handle important conversations are based on the author's intense research of leaders and the differences they found between leaders who were successful and those who were not, those who were influential and had the ear of the people on their team, and those who did not. And it really came down to the conversations they had, which for me translated to the relationships that they built. Yes, this is about communication, but communicating well is about building relationships well. So, this is a great book for anyone to read, regardless of their profession. We all have relationships. And in fact, many of the examples in this book are not even about professional situations. Many of them are about personal ones, particularly conversations between spouses. Still, all of it can be applied to both professional and personal lives. One of the warnings that the authors provide, I guess it's the main warning, is to avoid the fool's choice. So, this is a reference to the belief that most of us hold that when having these crucial conversations, we must decide between telling the truth and keeping a friend or keeping a boss or keeping a relationship or marriage intact. However, these differences for those influential leaders was that they were 100% honest while being 100% respectful. The authors want to remind people that dialogue, no matter the circumstances, is always an option. And I had some key takeaways. First, you should keep asking yourself, what do I really want from this conversation? And this is really important. And I feel like the authors, because they did update this after the fact that we've had some serious political divisiveness in the country. And we've also had some major advances in technology, which means we're not always communicating face to face anymore. Sometimes it's over email or text, or soon we may be communicating with artificial intelligence more often than not. And so that's taken into consideration in writing this latest version of the book. And asking yourself, what do I really want from this conversation, is an important tool to keep you focused and also to make sure that you can keep your emotions in check. We'll get to more of that as I talk more about what I saw in the book. But that was an important question to keep at the front of your mind whenever you're having these conversations. And as a member of an Italian family, I found chapter 4 spoke to my experiences. We talk all the time in our family, and some might even say we talk too much. And this book actually explains how to keep your emotions under control when you're having these crucial conversations. And the key with my family is we have no problem being 100% honest, maybe 150% honest. It is that the emotions can sometimes get the best of us, and we don't have much tact. This chapter 4, really helps you work on that. Now, keep in mind, I also read this through Audible. So I was listening to this book, not exactly reading it, in fact, to be totally honest. And therefore, if page numbers or things are a little off, that might be why. But as I understand it, chapter 4 is the one about keeping emotions in check. There's this story that you follow for some time during the book about Mara Obi and her husband. He loses his job in a recession, and she is working overtime to make ends meet. They grow to resent each other because he thinks she is uninterested in their relationship and he feels ignored, while she feels like she is doing everything with her busy job and all the work, like doing the dishes and all the other housework at home. I apologize for the alarm going off. That's just something that happens in my house. It's a tale as old as time, this one of Mara Obi and her husband. Resentment builds, and nobody's communicating about what's really happening, what they're really feeling. And the authors share what is necessary to get to that crucial conversation. Their argument is that there's too much lag time between recognizing the problem and actually confronting it with these conversations. And of course, we're all guilty of that, putting off a hard talk, right? So anyway, the four skills that they say you need to arrive at are to share your good intent. So let the other person know why you're broaching this subject and why you want to talk to them about this. Apologize when appropriate. So obviously, if you clearly have offended someone, if you accidentally raise your voice, things like that, take responsibility and say you're sorry and explain that you're not going to do that again. Obviously, apologize in the right way, use eye contact if you can, and just own up to it. And then contrast to fix misunderstandings. So this was a little bit more complicated than the other skills, and they go over this many times in the book. But basically, when you contrast to fix misunderstandings, you're kind of comparing what you are thinking and saying to what the other person is, to kind of show why you aren't getting each other in this moment. And then finally, you have to find your mutual purpose. And this is where people can come to a happy ending, maybe, or at least a reasonable conclusion with their argument or this discussion they're having. Finding your mutual purpose is understanding that you really want the same things. So Mara and her husband, they both wanted to spend time with each other. They both wanted to get back to good with their loving relationship. And they both knew that they needed Mara's job and they needed to do the housework, and they just needed to find a way to do it all together. And so that was finding their mutual purpose. One other takeaway in this portion of the book is how we communicate digitally too. Many of us are remote workers now. We use email for conversations oftentimes, or text, or we're writing to each other on Teams, and things can get lost in the mix. You know, one of the clever ideas that they put forth to me that I had never thought of as someone who has been a remote worker since 2004 was that you can describe facial expressions that you're making in reaction to different parts of this discussion, even over email. So, you know, I grimaced when I heard such and such, or my face got really sad. I was frowning when I heard about the loss of such and such. So, you can make people understand the emotion that you're having. This isn't about using emojis. That's not necessarily the right move to make, but this is about, you know, explaining how you're feeling, what you're looking like, giving people some context to the conversation. It puts the humanity back into it. Um, and another thing that I've also already tried to apply is making a call to action at the end of the conversation. And this isn't just like, you know, the way we talk when we're marketing something like everybody sign up now or something like that. This is kind of saying, this is what we're going to do to show that we understand each other, make sure we're all on the same page, and identify the action that each of us will take to change whatever is bothering us that resulted in this crucial conversation. These conversations are about making change, not just getting it out in the open and venting, but actually doing something about the problem. So I love doing that, wrapping things up at the end, making sure you're kind of repeating to the other person what what you understood to be true, and then saying what you're going to do about it, and making a promise to each other essentially that you're both going to take this course of action. The book refers to violence in a very broad way, and it includes raising your voice and making accusations. Obviously, in this divisive time, this is really important, and this is, of course, to be avoided. In personal relationships, they mention that you could touch someone, give a hug, put your hand on their hand, put your hand on their shoulder to, you know, make things dialed down, to scale back on this fighting and arguing. Obviously, that's not appropriate in a professional setting, but you can do other things like smile or lower your voice, or, you know, just kind of, you know, express your apology or the fact that you respect the other person. So I think those were all good bits of advice that I've taken away from this. And most of the time, which was a theme, recurring theme in this book. We avoid these conversations until and unless we have no choice but to face them. And that lag time can really hurt us. It can cause bigger problems, according to the book. And they show examples of that. I highly recommend the read because this is just practical advice that everybody can use. I don't know that you can actually perform a conversation as logically as they set forth, just because we are emotional and it's hard to control your emotions and it's hard in the moment to really be like, okay, I really want to get to this point, and you can't anticipate the other person's reactions either. So it is a little difficult, but I feel like it does give you a framework to start from a better place and end up in a better place with these conversations. And I want to let you know that this suggestion actually came from ChatGPT. ChatGPT offered me 3 suggestions for a book club. And one of them we had done last year, Work Rules by the head of Google, previous head of Google, what is essentially Google HR, Laszlo Bach. And the other one was a was a book that I felt was out of range for us. So I chose this one as the way to kick off the summer because it can help you set the right tone in your relationships. And you should have time to work on those relationships right now because the summer is supposed to be a little quieter. I haven't seen that yet, but I'm a mom of 2, so, summer is also craziness. Uh, in any case, I'm looking forward to looking to reading the next group of books with you. I hope you all join me, and please, please let us know what you think of Crucial Conversations, if you're trying out any of these ideas and how they've gone. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.